On today's episode of Redneck Mechanics, do I have a surprise for you? What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Brandon back at it again with a new video, and today we're working on my 2005 Chrysler Sebring, and it's kind of a gross story. You know how transmission fluid is supposed to look like a little bit pinkish red usually, especially for conventional. Well, today checking and changing transmission fluid, it's a little bit not like it's supposed to be. Alright, so this vehicle calls for ATF4. That's this product right here. You don't have to use Castrol, but anyways, that's what it's supposed to use. There's like ATF3, 4, 2, which is hard to find. And there's also Mercon products, such and so on, for different makes and models of cars. Obviously, parts stores are going to be much more expensive to buy this stuff. So I just went to Walmart. They didn't have it, so the next runner up would be to buy ATF3. Dexmark 3 will work fine. That's why I'm only doing part of it and mixing some with ATF4. But first, let me show you what it looks like on the dipstick. So just pop your hood open. One-handed, it's kind of hard. Yes, it does. Anyways. Also, yes, it does. But anyways. Alright, so down here by your air box is your dipstick for the transmission. And by golly, would you look at that. So before you start, make sure that you have the correct quantity of ATF that is supposed to be for your car. There are multiple different types. If you are somebody that does not know how to do this kind of stuff and does not want to risk putting his car on the edge of destruction, I would not recommend you mixing synthetic and conventional unless it's a synthetic blend. That stuff is okay to use. I don't care what other people say, but it's okay to use synthetic blend and conventional. You can interchange them on different changes, especially like engine oils and stuff. But definitely don't mix conventional and full synthetic. This car is pretty old, so I'm not too worried about mixing a little bit of conventional and full synthetic, as this car does have 185,000 miles. Still runs perfect. And look who's driving by. Okay, so first off, you're going to want to take off your front left wheel. You're going to take off these 5 lug nuts. For me, they are 21mm lug nuts. Take all 5 off, and before you do that, make sure you jack up the vehicle, preferably on both sides. Once that is off, go ahead and push it aside. A lot of people say put your tire under the car, so that way in case if a jack tends to fail, it'll fall on the tire and not on you. So next, you're going to want to put jack stands underneath the car on a safe spot, which there are some metal brackets under there near the frame that you can put them at just in case if those jacks happen to fail. Those jacks are also about maxed out. After you pull this wheel off, this will give you better access to your drain plug, and that is right there. I already have it loosened up, so this will be easier to show you guys. If you get under the front here, that is a 15/16. You can kind of see that drain plug's already loosened out a little bit. That is what you want to take off. I put my bucket under here so that way it catches any transmission fluid that flushes out. If I remember right, this vehicle holds about 3 gallons of transmission fluid, aka 11 or 12 quarts. So I'm just going to go ahead and take out the plug. Yuck. That is not what your transmission fluid is supposed to look like. Now, I don't think we'll be draining all of it. We'll just drain what's in the pan for now, and then fill up what we lost. Now, while you're under the car, it is a good time to inspect for any other leaks or any potential issues with your car. As of right now, I know that I have an exhaust leak back there, so I'm going to check that out while the car is jacked up. I also noticed that one of my CV boots over here is worn out and is completely ripped. Fortunately, there are no other leaks on my car. Now, while it's draining, you may want to take a look and see what kind of condition your transmission is in by inspecting the drain plug, or if you have your transmission pan out, which, by the way, awkwardly enough, is on the front side of the transmission. you're going to want to find like a little metal gritty stuff. Oh my goodness, that's like a paste. That is friction material or other components on your transmission, or that came from your transmission in terms of like wear and stuff that eventually wear out. Clutch plates, everything. Those will wear out over time, and that's what causes your transmission to eventually wear out. You'll want to be sure you get some of this stuff cleaned out, although I would warn you that sometimes with high mileage cars, you want to leave some of that in there, or not even flush your transmission fluid at all, from what I've heard, to keep some of this material in there, so that way it kind of aids your transmission when it's under operation. Since I will be showing you like the difference on, say, a rag between your old transmission fluid and new, this is heavily overdue for a change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this old yucky transmission fluid, and oh, there you can kind of see the metal shavings, so that's the magnet on the end of the bolt there. That is the nastiness. That is actually gray in color. So there's that. Now I'm going to go pour a little bit of conventional, brand new transmission fluid on this other side here to show you the difference. Since I had a little bit in the cap, I'm going to go ahead and show you. Look at how nice and red that is compared to that gray. I should mention that there are another couple things that you could do to flush the rest of the transmission fluid out of the transmission, but because this car has so many miles on it, I'm not going to be doing so in this video or at all. So this is what your bolt should look like after kind of being cleaned. There's some of the metal contaminants. Gonna get rid of that. Yucky, not good for your transmission. There we go. That magnet is supposed to help keep metal contaminants from entering other parts of your transmission during operation or while you're driving down the road. Now, once your transmission is done draining, no, we are not going to be replacing the filter in this because, you know, I don't have money to do it, and this is just a beater car. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. That just screws in. Go ahead and use that. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. And tighten her up. She's already pretty tight on here because I already did it. So to put the tire back on, you usually want to stand in front of it, but I'm going to do it this way to show you guys. So you want to put your feet on both sides, pick up. Usually you have to be squatting on the ground to do this, but because then you can pick it up from the bottom and adjust it, which I'm going to do that right now. Line up your top hole and then just kind of wiggle it back and forth until you get it on the hub. There you go. Now while you're holding it down, go ahead and install your lug nuts, just hand tight, and then tighten them down with either a 21mm socket and breaker bar, or if you have a 4-way lug wrench, then you can do that as well, or your emergency lug wrench from your car's emergency kit. Also, when you're tightening these, make sure you start with one and then go in a star pattern, so always the farthest away from each other each time. If you aren't sure what the pattern is for your vehicle, and look it up online. They're super easy to find the patterns too, and then you can do it yourself with no hassle. And then after you tighten your tire back on and it's nice and solid, you can go ahead and lower your car. Before you lower your jacks, make sure you clear out anything from underneath the vehicle. Next, you are going to want to see how much transmission fluid you drained out. I'm going to pour the old contaminants back into the old jugs, and we're going to measure that way on how much approximately that we lost, so that we can put back into our car, since it was nearly full from the start. Anyways guys, I did not even have to use a 5-quart jug at all. Ends up we only have about 3 quarts of transmission fluid that we took out, so it ends up right about there. That's probably closer to 4, but we have about 2 in this jug, and then we'll just top off with our brand new jug sitting right there. Now go ahead and dump in your new transmission fluid. use ATF4 or compatible fluid. Once you are finished pouring in your fluid, go ahead and take out your funnel, put it aside, and then clean off your dipstick with a rag and put it back in the hole. Now, clean off any drips or messes that you had, as I did. I noticed that if you pour the can very slowly, it won't, burp and spill everywhere. So that really did help with that much. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my mess, and then you should be good. Don't close your hood yet, because you still have to get in here to make sure you have the proper amount of fluid after we run the vehicle. Now, yes, I do have a door open, and I do have a trunk open, so I don't mind those. Now, what you're going to do is keep your foot on the brake firmly, turn on your car. And now, let it sit for a minute. My e-brake was on to make sure it wasn't going to roll anywhere. And I'll put it in neutral. This will cycle the pump and the transmission, and that will get fluids working through where they should. Now, once you do that for a couple seconds, put it in drive. Hold it there for a couple seconds, make sure it kicks into gear and holds. Go ahead and pop in the neutral. Go in reverse. I have the brake on while doing this, guys. Make sure that's like it should. Put it back in neutral. Just do this a couple times to kind of get it all floated in. And then take it easy on a test drive after you check your fluid level while you are in neutral. This will make sure that you're cycling the pump while checking the fluid, as that is what you're supposed to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in neutral. Make sure you check for leaks, as I don't seem to be having any. Check the fluid. You're going to need to wipe it off and put it back in, such and so forth. And as I was checking my transmission fluid, the fluid was not reaching the cold level, which is that bottom section there. Different vehicles will require you to check it differently, or may only have one way to check it. So be sure you follow your owner's manual for instructions. Next, after you make sure that you have plenty of fluid in the car, go ahead and take it on a test drive just to warm up the transmission. Go easy on it, because this is new fluid and you want to make sure it shifts through every single gear smoothly. So there was second, there's third. Much smoother than before. It should shift into fourth any moment. Perfect. Okay, so I am going to drive this around the block, and since I live in the country, this is going to take approximately 5 minutes or so to do. You want to run this for a good while, so that way you know that your transmission is all warmed up. In this case, it will be. Now, while you're on the test drive, you'll want to check for any vibrations or weird things like slippage, not going into gear. Also, you'll want to look for when you're looking at slippage, you want to see if your RPMs vary a lot when you give a little bit more or less gas. This car does slip a little bit in fourth, and right now I'm feeling like it's normal, except the transmission is shifting a whole lot more smoothly, so I think we did more good than harm. Alright, nothing coming. And yes, I am keeping my eyes on the road more than the camera. Holy moly, this has got more beans now. Okay, that's good. And that's how you do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This will help us out a lot for future projects and stuff. We just passed like 65 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. Hopefully we can continue to see this channel growing. And again, I'm Brandon with Rednecks Mechanics channel, and I'll see you in the next episode. See you later.
Easy go.